Get ready for a no BS approach to health and fitness. This is NBS Fitness Radio.
All right, what's up? Welcome back to NBS Fitness Radio. I am here with Chris Clothier. Chris is an owner in REI Nation, which is the #1 turnkey real estate investment company in all the United States by all measures. And he also runs an organization called Cancer Kickers. It's a soccer club that sends. Tell us a little bit about what Cancer Kickers does.
Yeah, the Cancer Kickers, we support kids and their families that are battling childhood cancers. We send them a kit. It's made up of a backpack, jerseys, socks, shorts, little sliders. It's got all kinds of warm gear like they can wrap up in, from sweatshirts to sweatpants. And it's all geared around, we send this kit joining them to an actual team. So they've got teammates, at this point all over the world. When we send it to them, it really bonds them and lets them know they're part of a team fighting something.
Okay, that's awesome. Very cool. Chris has been a client of mine, I guess maybe 12 years now. Trained for a while in the beginning, had a little break in the middle, and now kind of back in together. And one of the reasons I have Chris on today is because Chris is he's a busy dude. He's, like I said, an entrepreneur in multiple ways. He's got a lot of things going on. He's got 5 kids, and yet he still finds a way to make fitness a priority, have success in it. So, Chris, tell me about kind of fitness, the story of fitness in your life. What you were doing when you were little, how it changed as you went through college and in your 20s and your 30s and now in your 40s.
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny that I never looked at it as fitness until recently.
Yeah.
Recently, up until that point, it wasn't fitness. It was doing things that I love to do, from playing sports. I started playing soccer when I was 4, played soccer all the way up into college. But in high school, I was on the track team. I was running cross country. I loved running. It was something that I found early on. I had a big engine.
Yeah.
I mean, I could go long distances. I could be fast. I still had the same energy at the end as I did at the beginning. And whether that's genetics or whatever it was, that's what I found that I was growing up.
Yeah.
And then as I became an adult, I enjoyed competition. So I played soccer and rugby in college. I played competitive soccer as an adult all the way up until I was 45 years old, and 40 or whatever, somewhere in mid 40s. And I just loved competing. I never looked at what I was doing as actual fitness.
Yeah.
And so even when you and I were first working out, it's probably the thing that prevented me from, you said we worked out together, then we had a little break in between. The thing that the break was because I didn't view it as fitness. I was just, working out.
Yeah.
For lack of a better way to put it.
Yeah.
So I've always loved doing and being active and doing stuff. It wasn't until recently that I really realized or made that mind shift that this is all about fitness and not necessarily about, competition or getting out and doing what I want to do.
Yeah. What kind of caused that mind shift?
Our conversation,
Okay.
you and I. So I remember it that I told you, and I've even told other people this, that I kind of told you that I had something that I wanted to get ready for, an event I was going to take on. And you said, well, come on in, let's sit down and talk about your fitness goals. And again, for me, I remember when we first talked, I wanted to talk about, here's this thing I want to do. And you didn't necessarily tell me you didn't say I don't care about that. You were trying to get me away from thinking about an event.
Yeah.
And you wanted me to think about, hey, why are you really why is this really important? I think your point was, if it's an event, it'll come and go.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because what I told you was, I want to be skiing. I love to go snow skiing. And when I'm 80, I want to be snow skiing.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when the last time we went, we saw this little group of men and women. And I happened to ask one of them what they were doing, and they were part of the over 80 ski club. And they were all having a coffee, and they were all in their ski gear, and they were all getting ready to go for a day of skiing. And I was like, that's what I want to do.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So
yeah, well, and I think the idea is that fitness supports your ability to do the everyday things and the events.
Right.
So it's not that necessary, but the idea of only focusing on the event is that there's an endpoint to it.
Right.
Versus fitness is there is no endpoint. It's just the foundation of our ability to, live the lives that we want to live.
Well, it's really helped me because it's made that mind shift too, and I've been able to put it together with like business.
Yeah.
Because there is no endpoint. You just said it. You got to get to where you enjoy the journey. And then there become all these little flashpoints in between. And those are the events that we're doing. Like I'm getting ready to do events and I'm super excited about it, but I'm enjoying the journey just as much. So when those flashpoints are over, I'm still rocking and rolling.
Yeah. So fitness has been a part of your life since the get-go in different forms, obviously, but competition's kind of been part of that.
Yeah.
That fueling that desire the whole time. And obviously that's kind of a big factor in entrepreneurship and business owner is the competitive aspect. Have you always known you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or like what were the kind of the big awakening moments you're like, yeah, this is what I need to do?
Yeah. I think that I have not always known I was going to be an entrepreneur. You know, had I had my way in school, I wanted to go to Washington, D.C. I wanted to be in politics. I wanted to graduate with a poli-sci degree. I kind of saw myself going through law, possibly running for office. I mean, that's really what I thought, 18 to 23, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I met who would become my future wife at about 22, I think, 21, 22, somewhere in there. At 23, I decided to quit college after 5.5 years. And
were you close after 5.5 years?
Well, I probably was beyond close. I think I have like 147 hours. You only need like 120 to graduate. And I wasn't close to graduation. I had so many different things going on. What I knew was I wanted to go to work. So I went to work. I worked for family for a long time.
Yeah.
Then I actually, when I was 30, had my first child. I moved to Colorado and I took a job with a client. I needed that kind of change of scenery, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So my wife and I, we moved to Colorado. And I remember when I first went up there, I left her back in Memphis because we hadn't sold our house. And I get up there and I go to my first day on the job and I called her about lunchtime and I told her this is never going to work. I can't work for somebody else. It's just, I'm not cut out for this. And that was the day I decided to start my own company. And it was roughly a year. I signed a contract. So I finished my contract out. About a year after that, I started my first company. And I don't know how many I've started and tried to do now. I'm probably somewhere between 4 and 6, and most have failed. Most haven't worked, but that's okay. You know, I'll never forget sitting her down after that first one, and it would eventually succeed. But at the time, I thought it was a complete failure. And I told her, I said, I'm going to have to go get another job.
How did you respond to that?
Well, I framed it like this, that I basically can pay this month's bills and I have enough money for next month's bills. And she says, well, it sounds like you got till next month to figure out what the heck you're going to do. And so that's what I did. And I did. That was, it's so funny about like fitness and stuff, because I sat down and I had two choices. I could either put in the time and do the work, or I could go ahead and start looking at the want ads and see if I could find me another job. And I chose to go to work. Yeah. And that's been a common theme for her and I.
Yeah. Trying to kind of put together some of the pieces there is that there is something about that entrepreneurial DNA that you're not scared of failure. It's just like the drive to make it happen. The vision is so much bigger than any potential fear of failure that you're like, I can't not do this. And then, and if it does fail, it doesn't derail you. And to a degree, I think there's some carryover into fitness in the sense that, like, you're not going to have success in every endeavor that you do. And in fact, if you're doing it correctly, like you shouldn't succeed every single day in the gym. You should be pushing your limits to a degree.
Right.
But it's that you're not limited by that fear of failure. You just kind of accept that, like, if it doesn't work out, I'll learn from it, and then the next time I'll be better.
Let me. If you're not afraid, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be some cliche that's being cute. I mean that if you're not afraid, then you maybe don't understand what the ramifications are.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not really taking any risks. Maybe you think you're out there doing something big, but you're not. Like fear is a natural part that should be there. It is a focuser. Fear is something that should in theory help you to be hyper focused on what it is you're doing. I think that works really well in both fitness and business.
Yeah.
That because there's a natural, you should be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
I mean, because it's not the outcome you want. But I mean, if you're taking risks and you're going out there for it, then when you do fail, all it does is teach you the lessons that you need and give you the knowledge you need to not fail the second time.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah, that's a better clarification. Because you think about it, like when I was doing powerlifting,
yeah,
there's an absolute fear of putting like 800 pounds on my back. But I guess what message I was trying to get was that fear isn't the overwhelming emotion. It's like
sure.
The overwhelming emotion is like, I'm going to face that fear with courage because not trying would be far worse than trying and failing. Because there's a tremendous amount of fear when you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to run 100 miles, or oh my gosh, I'm about to try to squat 800 pounds, or whatever. Or
in business, oh my gosh, I just signed a line of credit. I'm now massively in debt.
Yeah,
I mean those. Yeah, all those I think they dovetail really good. It's a focuser.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
What are some other kind of benefits that you've seen back and forth between like the mindset as a business owner, entrepreneur, and fitness, and like how has fitness then helped empower you to take on what you've taken on in business?
Yeah, I think that in just both of them are so very much alike. You know what I mean? If I'm a believer in what's called like a to-do list and a today list and a to-do list.
Yeah.
All right. So you got your to-do list that you'll never catch up to. If you do, then you don't have enough on your plate.
Right.
But it might be 3 pages long, and that's okay. But people that just operate off of a to-do list, they're constantly frazzled, upset, feeling like a failure. I'm not getting anything done because they're not focused. They're seeing this big old long list. It's kind of like saying you want to lift 1,000 pounds aggregate across the 3 Olympic lifts.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Or 3 power lifts.
So 3 power lifts. There you go. If you look at it like that, it's daunting. If you instead you look at it like, today I'm going to do, I'm going to deadlift 330 pounds 4 times. It has nothing to do, but everything to do with that. It has, like, today I'm not focused on the 60,000 foot view. I'm focused on the 6 feet in front of me and what I have to do.
Yeah.
The today list does that. Anybody that can take their to-do list and list out everything you've got to do, and it might be, like I said, 3 pages long, but then you go to another pad or a new sheet of paper and you write down, here's the 5 things that I must accomplish today.
Yeah.
And I'm taking them straight from my to-do list. And it doesn't matter how long this list is. If I accomplish these 5 things today, it's been a good day.
Yeah.
And it helps really keep people in the moment. I was reading this great book today, and it's talking about how life is happening all around us. There's a lot of stuff going on. And so when it comes to fitness and business, forget about the big picture, because you think that all these things, no, just focus right in here on like what's 6 feet around you, what's 6 feet in front of you, what can you control? That's what I love. That's what I think the lessons I get from both of them is that, and I learned it early in business, but I'm learning it more now about fitness, is that, as we said earlier, it's what's going on right there in front of you. It's what, you've got these, like I do, have these big goals. I got these big dreams of things I want to do in business and in fitness. But all I can worry about is this random Tuesday, this random, Friday, whatever the day is, right here in front of me. This is what I can control. This is what I can affect. Go put the work in.
Yeah. The ability, to just kind of shift focus and have awareness of like the big picture. Because I got to know the whole timeline.
Sure.
But then I got to shift that focus back into like, okay, what do I need to do right now? Where's my focus going to be for this hour to have a productive hour?
And working backwards.
Yeah.
If I have a goal that I want to accomplish and I say I want to accomplish it by this Friday and it's unattainable.
Yeah.
What am I doing? I've shot everything and nothing's going to work right. But if I say, okay, it's reasonable, practical, and obtainable, I know what I want to accomplish, and then I just work backwards all the way back to today. It's going to tell me, what do I have to do right in this minute?
Yeah.
Because if I put the work in, that will happen. Whatever I want to get, it'll be there.
Yeah, that's for people first starting out in fitness or people who aren't in the business space. When you set some super lofty goal, so let's say like if I said, we have a goal of squatting 400 pounds. Like, what do you squat currently? Like 150 pounds. To someone who's not really set some type of lofty goal like that, that means, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But you can work it backwards and go like, okay, well, but if I can just put on 5 pounds to my squat every week or every 2 weeks, well, then I can accomplish this goal in the next year and a half or what it would be. And so then you're not trying to like look up the entire mountain. Like you said, you look at the next 6 steps. Same thing with business.
Right.
I currently have, let's say 150 clients. I need to grow up to 400 clients. You're like, well, geez, you got like over double your clients. Well, how many clients do I need to focus on getting this week or today? And what are the action steps I need to do for that? And also, I think one thing good about the today list and to-do list is it's just kind of prioritizing the most important actions that you need to take. There's some days in business you're like, I would love to get all 5 of these done,
Right.
but I have to get 1,
Right.
2, 3, right? And sometimes in training, you're like, man, like I would love to get the whole workout in, but it's not going to allow it. But I got to get this one thing in.
And we've done that before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You've done that with me where,
It's like, hey, like,
yeah, for whatever reason, this is all we're able to accomplish today. So let's focus and make sure we get that done. And then you, of course, you put a lot of responsibility back on me that, all right, so here's what you're going to do later.
Yeah.
You're going to get the work in, one way or the other.
yeah, we're gonna get it in, but the most important thing that we finish is this. So
Right.
let's just focus on that and not be overwhelmed. But like, I'm not gonna get it all done. Who cares? Like that's just the way it goes sometimes.
Right.
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 What are some of the kind of like the physical benefits that you felt or that you may see in yourself versus other people who aren't taking care of their bodies? Because I see it a lot in myself compared to other business owners or other people in the workforce. What are some of the things that you see?
Well, I mean, I am an energetic person.
Yeah.
I have a lot of energy. I've got a lot of motion. I am, it's kind of interesting because I like to think that in times of like chaos or crisis, I'm calm.
Yeah.
My mind is thinking about let's fix this first and diagnose what the problem was second, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But on a normal, just day to day, whatever's going on, I just have a ton of energy.
Yeah.
I am. And what I've seen by focusing on fitness and working with you has been, my body feels better. I'm sleeping well.
Yeah.
I just, again, and it's true, but I just feel stronger.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not even the way I look. It has nothing to do with looks. Right now, it's all about I feel stronger. Now, the funny thing, confidence.
Yeah.
There's this level of confidence that you have bounding up the stairs. I'm speaking on stage last week in Dallas, giving a talk in front of all these people. And I just have I know I'm strong. I'm physically fit. I have energy, and I can bring it on stage.
Yeah.
All that comes from, it's kind of funny. It comes from 2 things. One is the work that we're doing.
Yeah.
But 2 is the mental aspect of
Yeah.
it. When you put the work in, there's, it changes the way you view everything you're getting ready to do.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of that confidence comes between like putting yourself in hard situations and doing hard things and then coming through it on the other side and go like, I did that.
Right.
The nice thing about fitness to me is like every day I do something hard.
Right.
Every day I do something that makes me uncomfortable that I know most people aren't doing.
Right.
And so then that confidence in doing that carries over into other situations. You're like, yeah, that's not that big a deal. We'll get to it.
Right.
Once I've done enough physically hard things, you're just like, I'll be okay this next time I do something physically hard.
Right.
Once I've done enough physically hard things, I'm like, I do hard things and I survive. When this emotionally hard thing or intellectually hard thing pops up, it's like practice. I've been there before.
Right.
I understand the situation. Yeah, this is stressful, but we'll get through it because every single day, I do hard things and we do hard things and we're still here. So it builds that confidence to continue to take it on.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
What are some of the struggles you find as being an entrepreneur and like finding and fitness, like and finding a way to get it in?
Oh, that's an easy one.
Because you got 5 kids on top of multiple businesses.
Look, it is so family, of course, comes first. But I'm not, when it comes to business is second.
Yeah.
My fitness is third.
Yeah.
And there can be no other way with what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So what I have to figure out is how do I, one, make sure my family's not neglected. 2, make sure that my partners are getting 100% out of me because I'm expecting 100% out of them. And 3rd, I'm getting my fitness in. So, that's the biggest struggle because sometimes I have appointments set and, I may be letting you know minutes before we're supposed to go that I can't get out.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got this meeting. I didn't expect this meeting, but I can't leave.
Yeah.
And there used to be a time when I would be like, and I don't mean non-apologetic. There used to be a time when I would be like, oh man, I'm so sorry. This is like, and now I'm less that way and more of, I want to be empathetic. Like this is your time and I respect your time.
Yeah.
So, but this is the scenario that I'm in. Yeah. I didn't put myself in this. I didn't. So I'm not going to say I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But instead it's, I respect you and I will not be able to be there. So there's no argument about, does that make sense? Like it's, it's more a case of, it used to be that I would feel guilty and I've just let that guilt go because I am, I know that I'm committed and I'm going to do the best I can. But there's sometimes when I have to pick one of those 3 over the other 2, and that's just
the way it is.
It's just the way it is.
Well, I think the lesson there is that, yes, the priority is 1, 2, and 3. It's not 1 and 2 and 0, which for a lot of people is like, well, fitness is my 3rd priority, but I never do it. And I was like, well, then that's 0.
0. No, it's not a priority.
Right. And to a degree, one thing that I feel like it's my responsibility as a coach is to understand that. And it's easier for me to be empathetic with that as a business owner.
Sure.
Because I kind of understand like where you're coming from. And it's my responsibility to have an awareness and an understanding of like what each of my clients' lives are like.
Right.
And when I need to say, hey, that's totally cool. Like, I know we're going to get in on Thursday, or say like, hey, Chris, like, man, we need to really like find a way to prioritize this. Maybe we're overshooting it with this many days, or maybe we need to find a different time, but like you are approaching 0.
Right.
We need to find a way to get this back up.
Right. And especially if it were 3 or 2 weeks in a row of no workouts or 1 workout or sporadic here and there. Because I've had weeks where I've only been able to work out once, but usually that's like, it's not necessarily planned, but we know, okay,
you're gonna be out of town or something, or like that,
yeah. But here's the flip side of it too. All right, I've said this to other people before. Be honest and be direct with everybody in your life. Like when I was training for the 100-mile ultra marathon, that was a personal thing I was going for, and in all of my lack of wisdom, I was keeping it personal to me inside.
Yeah.
When I brought my wife and my partners in and said, hey, I want you to know that 4 months from now, this is what I'm going to try and do. This is what I've been like running for. And, you see me going out running every day and what the heck's he running, now I'm going to start ramping it up. They all got behind me and supported it.
Yeah.
And there was no more questions of what are you doing? And, are you slacking off here? Are you giving that up? It became okay, we're going to let you get out of balance.
Yeah.
You train. I'm going to, pick up a couple of days with the kids going back and forth here to school instead of, where you usually were. Or my partners were like, okay, train and get the work done, but we understand you're going to be gone a little more every day because you're training for something. If you will be direct, involve everybody in your process, that's another good way, because to do big things, to do hard things, to do scary things, sometimes you got to get a little out of balance.
Yeah. Well, and the balance isn't a daily balance or everything's getting the exact same, quota every single day. There are times where it's like, hey, look, family's number 1 and everything else is going to like pretty close to zero. If your kid was sick or something was
Yeah.
happened, like, hey man, like I gotta prioritize this.
Do vacation. Like
Yeah,
I am going out of town for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Everything else is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all family.
Yeah. And then there's times where you're like, hey honey, like I need you to kind of take some of these family roles that maybe I've been doing so I can get this business thing done or this physical thing done. And it's adjusting appropriately.
Well, there was a time when I might have been doing 3-hour workouts and an 8-hour workout. And that's 3 hours every day and 8 hours on Saturday.
Yeah.
And that was just, I mean, that's a lot of time away. That's dinners, not being done. That's me getting up at 5, but not being back in time to take the kids to school. I mean, that's what I really mean by getting out of balance.
Yeah.
I cannot participate in some of the stuff right now. You have to pick it up. And if you say it like that, that's probably not the right way to go about it.
Yeah.
But if it's a permission base, this is what I want to do. I want to include you in it. I want you to know about it. And they say, yeah, I've got this for you during this time when you go go after what you're going for.
Yeah. This is what my goals are. Here's how you can support me. And then when this is done, here's how I will support you and get back into balance.
100%.
What are some of the ways you've been able to kind of overcome some of those struggles? Whether it be like, finding the time or making the time, or like what are some other ways you've overcome some of the struggles of making it happen?
I think that last thing I just shared a second ago, I can't emphasize how important it is to tell other people that you are in partnership with in life about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because having their support, telling, if you have a coach, you let your coach know everything going on in your life. If you have a business coach, or if you have a wife or a partner, a husband or partner, whomever, whatever, just be direct, be honest, be open, let them know what's happening. I think that's the biggest way to avoid conflicts and create space for you to be able to go do what you want to try and do. Because if you keep things inside, if you keep it, or if you already assume on the front end that they're going to get mad, like I know that if I had said my wife will never let me do all this training, so I'm just going to do it and I'm going to fight with her and I'm going to get mad at her because she's not letting me do it. That's a way to create, what do they call it? You're creating issues without needing them.
You're projecting that onto her.
100%, 100%.
And of course, then what's she's going to do? She's going to be mad because your approach to it was terrible.
Right, 100%. And so that's number one. And and the other thing too, dude, is if you're going to go for stuff and try and do hard things, your term from earlier, then, it may require 4 a.m. wake ups to get things done. It may require, I'll never forget that when I had to train to be tired, I needed to be comfortable being very tired. I'd get up in the morning and do a workout, and then I'd go to work all day, and I'd come home and I'd get something to eat. Yeah. But then it'd be like, all right, it's about 7:30, the sun's set, and it's time to go for a 3-hour run.
Yeah.
And now you're talking about this is a 14, 15-hour day, and I'm running at the end of it. And it really does create that atmosphere of being tired, being, kind of a little foggy in the brain. But that's the bottom line is we have 24 hours every day. So the lack of time is an excuse that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because we all have the exact amount of time. It's what we choose to do with that time. And we just discussed family and work. Those are massively important. But if you can have good communication and refit some of that time into something else, same thing maybe, instead of staying up till 11 o'clock watching Johnny Carson reruns, you go to bed at 9 o'clock.
Because Johnny Carson reruns?
Yeah, those are a big hit on Comedy Classic, whatever it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just prioritizing your time.
That's right.
And every second of that time, every second of the day, you're making an investment. Just like you have dollar bills that you can choose how to put them in place. You have hours and minutes that you can choose how to put them in place.
And no judgment. That's the bottom line. It's because it's just you. You just get to decide, and it's okay. If you, whatever it is you decide to invest your time in, bam, you're going to get out of it what you want. And so, if it's working out or running or biking or swimming or business or whatever it ends up being, if you want to write a book, go write a book.
Yeah.
You have plenty of time. I mean, again, you skip the TV and skip the YouTube surfing, and instead you write the book about what you want to write about. I'm just, I know I could go anywhere with all these conversations because I'm just such a believer in you just do it.
Well, I think
as an attitude.
yeah, I think one thing, another aspect of overcoming some of that stuff is having that community of support. Like
Sure.
you have a family that supports you. You have work colleagues and your other owners that support you. You have a coach. You have your training communities, your other runners. Like being around people who are like-minded and want to support you to go and do these great things versus a group of people that doesn't understand that.
Right.
That would instead want to like discourage you or pull you down or say, no, you can't do that. You know, you have chosen to surround yourself with people who support you in your pursuits, and therefore it's a heck of a lot easier path when people are behind you helping push you versus people in front of you trying to keep you from
100%.
moving forward. So
100%.
choosing the people you spend your time with wisely and being in the right community that will support you.
My kids may listen to this, and they will all tell you that this is what I tell them from the time they're even my fourth grade daughter.
Yeah.
You will become the 6 people you surround yourself with in any endeavor. You want to be a great soccer player, and you surround yourself with, 6 great soccer players. You will, through time, by being with them, be influenced by them. You will become what they are.
Yeah.
Same thing in business. Same thing with real estate investing. Same thing with anything we decide to do. You will be the 6 people you surround yourself with, when it comes to that influence.
Yeah, big time.
So
talk a little bit about your goals that you set, because since I've known you, you've never ever said, yeah, I just want to kind of feel good and look good and come and get a workout in. It's always what's this next big thing? Why is it important for you to kind of set big things, talk about some of the things you've done and like what you're looking to do in the future?
I'm going to relate it just a little bit to business and then about the fitness side of it. And in business, I tell people all the time that we do not have competition. I don't have competition for what I do.
Yeah.
Period.
You're the apex.
There's plenty of companies that do what we do, but the only competition we have is how well we performed yesterday.
Yeah.
That is a mindset. That is a decision coming in every day that I'm going to be the absolute best version of myself I can be. I'm going to drive. I'm going to push. I'm going to, set whatever the goal is. And, that comes from big things and little things. So, and also it expands into business. So every year we set bigger goals than we had the year before. Every year we're doing something bigger than we have done ever before.
Yeah.
That's by design. That is so that there is never a top of the mountain ever. There is, it's kind of like we sometimes in our minds, we have to create this illusion that when I get to a goal, when I reach a peak, like I have to envision that in the distance, there's something higher.
Yeah.
Like I've just got to keep going. I think part of that is going back to what we said earlier, fear. All right. I like being scared of what it is I want to try and do. I think in 2017, I tried to run a 100-mile ultramarathon, and I was actually listening to a podcast from another person that I respect who tried it, and I think they accomplished it. And I'll never forget it. I was like, God, that is actually really cool. This is one of the top 5 hardest races, because it's a road race from in the Keys, down in Florida. So you start at mile 100 and you run to mile 1 to the end.
Yeah.
And straight road. I mean, hardly any shade whatsoever. It's in late May. So you're talking about you could have really hot temperatures. You're going to have humidity.
Yeah.
It's tough.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah. And so it doesn't have the ups and downs like a Leadville 100 would have or something along those lines, but it just has, it's just oppressive, brutal.
Yeah.
If you're lucky and it's in the low 80s with a breeze, man, you are like flying.
Yeah.
But if it's 88 and above, it's hard.
Yeah.
So, I just registered for it. So I'm going to go do this.
What was the longest you'd run up into that point?
A half marathon, 13 miles.
Okay.
And I'd never even run a marathon at that point.
Yeah.
I'd only run one half marathon.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. I knew that on any given day, I could go run 26 miles. I could go do a marathon. And I mean, that is I don't mean that I would be competitive.
Yeah.
So I don't want to insult anybody that anybody be insulted about it. I knew that I could move that 26 miles at a good pace and finish it and be done. I may be really sore. Didn't matter. I could finish that.
Yeah.
That's not what I wanted. I wanted the threat that I wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
There's some people that were scared saying, you might die. I was never worried about dying. I never thought I was going to die trying to do this race, but, not to downplay it. Cause I mean, that can happen, but that could happen in my car tomorrow. That could happen on my 3-mile run. I mean, I was like, I'm going to train properly. I'm going to go try and do this. I hired a coach. It's the first time I'd ever hired a coach to try and get me there. I hired a mental coach. And the long story of that is that I did not finish. I made it 60 miles, I ran 60 miles straight further than I'd ever gone before. In retrospect, I could see all the mistakes that I made along the way. The biggest mistake being that I quit.
Yeah.
The biggest mistake being was that I saw 40 miles left instead of 1 mile.
Yeah.
Because that's really all I had to do. I just had to run 1 mile 40 times. And while that sounds daunting, if you just do one at a time, it's really not. It's just time.
Yeah.
It's just go do.
Yeah.
It's work. And so I quit.
When I think you had a good saying that was you came there to see how far you could run, and the lady came there to see run 100 miles.
I was taught an incredible lesson.
Yeah.
And humbled by a number of people. But one in particular, I was telling you about, that she crossed the finish line with her arm kind of duct taped across her chest, and she had broken her forearm, like in the transition area of I believe it was at mile 10. And so she had gone 90 miles with, and I believe it was 90 miles again. It was a long distance. She'd gone 90 miles with a broken bone.
Yeah.
Now we're not talking about something sticking out her arm. It doesn't matter. She's got a broken arm enough where she's trying not to move it.
Yeah.
And I watched her cross the finish line, because that's one thing I did. When I quit, I got in a nice, cool van, drove to a nice hotel, got some, leg compression, got in those leg compression boots, and got me a few hours sleep, got up and went to the finish line.
Yeah.
And I just watched everybody finishing, because I wanted to see what this was all about. And what I learned was, as you said, I wanted to see how far I could go. And I learned I could go 60 miles. That's what my mind, before my mind took over.
Yeah.
All these other people, these finishers, they came to run 100 miles.
Yeah.
And so their mind never even entered into the equation. That's the way we are in business. With business, we're going to do this. And whether or not we can never comes into the equation. No, that's just what we are going to do. Yeah. And so, I am going back to that race, but I've also got 2 other things I'm trying to do between now and then. The reality is that I'm in a different mindset now. I've learned so much from not completing it the first time that it just gives me confidence with all the work I'm doing now, especially in here with you, that next time I go down there, I'm not going down there to see how far I can go. I'm going down there to see how fast I can go 100 miles.
Yeah, 100%. And it took having to have that experience to kind of realize, like, oh, my mind wasn't right for that. Now come back around and go, now I know what it takes.
It's a great example of failing.
Yeah.
It's a great example of, like I said earlier, I mean, I give a lot of talks, a lot of different things, but I call this the power of the comma. So with that race, I want to run a 100-mile ultra marathon, and I want to do one that's tough, that I might not be able to finish. Well, I ran it, and I put a comma at the end of it, meaning it's not over. I'm not done. I still have more of the story to go. When I put a period there, it's done. We'll see where I'm at. But, I learned so much. I didn't finish it that time, but I'm coming back and just different, a different person. I've learned those lessons. I understand, what I have to do and how I need to tackle it this time.
Yeah. And so when we first kind of re-engaged last year, that was kind of the talk was about coming back and doing this race again.
Right.
But because of issues with COVID, like there wasn't any spots left. And then we kind of went like, okay, well, we knew we had to we had to kind of change your training up, because prior to that, it was only doing distance running.
Yes.
Yeah. And we recognized, like, man, we really got to kind of set a strength foundation for that. So we knew we were going to work on that anyway. So we started kind of doing that. realized we weren't going to be able to do this race this year. And then you were kind of like, okay, well, I got to figure out something. And then we kind of threw a few things out. But why don't you talk about kind of what we came up with and why that's what you chose?
Yeah, something stuck with me. And when I hired a guy named James Lawrence. Anybody that doesn't know him, he's James Iron Cowboy Lawrence. Wrote a book a few years ago called Redefining Impossible. He's got multiple Guinness World Records. And in fact, today he's setting a new Guinness World Record this afternoon. And it'll be his 36th time to break his record.
What's it?
So
what it is.
He is completing 100 iron distance triathlons.
Ironman distance triathlons.
Yeah. So he's doing one a day, every day for 100 straight days. So he is swimming, I guess, 2 miles. He is biking 114 miles. He's running a marathon back to back to back to back. He's doing it every single day. Today he's on day 86. He already owned the record for 50. The first time he did 50 Ironman distance triathlons in 50 days, one in each state. So he's traveling. The logistics was just, crazy for him. But that's when he set the Guinness World Record for the most consecutive and the most, I think that was the most in a year. Well, then he turns around and so the second he hit day 51, it was a new record, and then 52, and then 53. So I think he's on day 86. Every single day he breaks the record. It's absolutely incredible to me. That's who I hired to train me for that race, okay?
Running or mindset?
Running.
Okay.
He was running. Now, so the reason why I bring that up is that he had never trained a 100-mile athlete, but I wanted him to train me, and he was like, look, let's give it a shot. We'll see what happens. It's not his fault, not their fault whatsoever, but there was not enough, like I wasn't strong enough. I don't believe my body was strong enough, although they had some weight stuff in there, but I didn't have a guy like you there with me each time. So irregardless. So anyway, when I knew what James was doing, I came to you and said, I'm getting stronger. It's not it's the powerlifting. The 3 power lifts, right?
Yep. Squat, bench, deadlift.
Squat, bench, deadlift. So I was like, I'm getting stronger. A byproduct of the work we're doing is that every week I'm hitting, new numbers and we're growing in strength. My base is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and firmer and firmer and firmer. So I looked a few things up and I came up with my own challenge.
Yeah.
And I see these guys that are lifting like 500 pounds deadlift and then they're running sub 5-minute miles.
Yeah,
like
5.5 or the 6.6.
Yeah, or the 6.6.
600 6-man mile.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? And I don't know that this will go with Guinness. I don't know that Guinness may do this. It may not. I don't really care. I'm doing it either way. I am trying to become the first person that we know of to lift 1,000 pounds aggregate across those 3.
Yep.
And run 100 miles in 24 hours.
Yeah, so you got to do all 3 lifts and make it a 100 miles in a 24-hour period.
Right. And so you and me have worked. I mean, and of course we'll dial this in even more as we get closer. But you and me have already penciled out how we're going to do this, and we know the time frames. We know later on we know what we're going to have to put in place to do this. Accomplish this. But we've talked about the pre warm up, the amount of time we need to spend warming up, how we get everything ready to go, and then we're going to go. Boom, boom, boom. Hopefully inside of 20 to 25 minutes, get all 3 of those power lifts done, but they have to total 1,000+ pounds.
Yeah.
And then the second it's over, the running shoes are on and we're right out the door, trying to complete a 100-mile run inside of 24 hours. And I'm jacked. I'm hoping that Guinness says, yeah, this is something we would recognize as the first to accomplish something like this. Cause those are usually those aren't 2 things that people would normally do in the same day.
No. I mean, running 100, like one or the other are usually hard.
Right.
Right.
And you look at me, like you can't tell from as I'm sitting here, but I don't have a big frame.
Yeah. You're not a 250-pound person trying to.
No, this is when I complete it that day, I will probably be between 178 and 182, somewhere in there is about where I'm in my mind. And that is so unscientific pull out the backside. I just can't with those numbers. But,
might weigh this. We'll see.
But I know that I weighed 165 when I tried my first 100-mile
Yeah.
race, and I didn't have the frame for it. I just didn't have I did have the frame for it. I didn't have the mindset to just walk the last 100 miles. I just quit. And so this time my body will be stronger, my mind will be stronger, and we're going to, but I'm going to do, it's kind of interesting. I will do this before I will go compete in the Keys 100.
Right.
And if I can do this, then there's no 100-mile race that I can't complete.
Yeah, 100%.
So
yeah, and yeah, some of what we're trying to figure out is, okay, well, what's the best strategy around this? Because there is a weight that would make lifting, there's a body weight that would make lifting 1,000 pounds easier.
Right.
And a body weight that makes running 100 miles easier.
Right.
And where is that sweet spot?
Yeah.
Because we don't want you can't be crazy strained in one or the other.
Right.
Trying to figure out what do we really need, because you can't, like, your true max can't actually be 1,000 pounds.
No.
Because there's no room for error. If you were just super tired and just didn't have it that day in your deadlift,
it's over.
It's over. You're like, okay, well, so much for that. There's no point in running 100 now, right? So finding out, like, what do we need to get your actual true total up to so that super confidently we can hit all three of these lifts in the shortest time frame possible.
Yeah.
And then how do we prep for that? Like, how do we get your body warmed up, ready to roll so that you have as much time to run 100 miles as possibly can?
So in reality, this might be at like a 25 and a half hour event, because we may spend the first hour and a half just making sure that everything is loose. I've done enough, build up to get under heavy weight, put myself under that kind of strain, and do the lifts and do everything I need to do, like you said, in the shortest amount of time, because the more time I spend doing those lifts, the less time I have to run the 100 miles. So I've got I think I told you I wanted to have them all done in 30 minutes to give me 23 and a half hours to run that 100 miles, which, again, is very doable.
Yeah.
It's just, I was thinking as you were saying that, like, even the diet comes into play, because one diet is needed for, building strength. There's a whole nother diet built for maximizing, your endurance.
Well, yeah, you don't really want to go into, like, doing a heavy squat or a heavy deadlift with, like, a stomach filled with stuff.
I know.
You can kind of, like, chug along running, at a relatively slow pace with a belly full of stuff. It's not that bad.
And the longer you run, you can't catch up on your calories.
Right.
If you're in a deficit at the beginning, it's over. You cannot, you just can't consume and burn, or your body can't process it.
Can't digest it.
Yeah, as you're getting further and further into a run.
Yeah, so it's trying to figure out. So, yeah, kind of our strategy is, first things first, we just got to get the lifts up to, like, an appropriate level.
What do you think I'm at right now?
You're probably close to 300 on squat, maybe a little higher. You're probably close to 350 on deadlift and 250, maybe a little more. So we're probably sitting at that 650, so 9. So we're pretty close.
And we need to be at 11
to
feel comfortable.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely 11. Any little, 12 would be even nicer, but I think 11, you should be able to hit 90% of your true 1-rep max, like, in most situations.
Right.
The question is, can you do that? But I think a lot of that's just in the training and the ability to output, 3 times relatively back to back. But you would do that in a normal training session. In a normal training session, you'd have a heavy squat.
Yeah.
You may wait 5 minutes. You'd have another heavy squat. You may wait 10 minutes. You have another heavy squat. Well, if we can do a relatively heavy squat and then a relatively heavy bench and then a relatively heavy deadlift, all within those same time frames, we're getting it done in 30 minutes.
Right. And what's interesting, even as we're sitting here talking about it, it follows the pattern that we had laid out earlier of, you figure out where you want to go, and then you just work it all the way backwards to today and say, all right, so what are we working on today?
Yep.
And like today, when we're done, we're going to go work out, and you already know I'm working out on this. It has really nothing to do with the goal, but everything to do with getting there.
Yeah.
I've gotten to the point now where I've learned to just love that.
Yeah.
Like, whatever today is, I'm just going to enjoy doing this. All that stuff, it comes down the line. The payoffs and the going for the big stuff, it all comes off later on.
Big time. Yeah. But You don't get to enjoy the fruit of that labor unless you're willing to put in the labor. Just do the hard work today. So you better learn to love the hard work today.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, very cool, Chris, man. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. Any quick words of wisdom or piece of advice for someone who's considering doing something big, whether that be physically or whether that be in business? What would you say to them?
Yeah. So we follow a rule. I learned this, of course, give my dad credit, my brothers, both of them credit, even though my one brother's in, kind of, he owns his own businesses out in California. He still has kind of, followed this, and I'm giving you credit. Okay. Inspect what you expect. If you expect people to perform at a certain level, whether they work for you, whether they're vendors that you hire, whether they are somebody that's providing a service to you, then you inspect what you expect. If they know that you don't care, if they know that you're not watching, if they know that you're all words, you say one thing and do another, then you're setting a new expectation, and it's coming down every time. If you're clear with what you want and you are willing to follow up and inspect it to your level of expectation, which includes one other piece of advice, is only two ways to do anything, and it's you do it the right way or you do it again. Wrong never comes into the picture. So if you will inspect what you expect to this high level of everything gets done the right way, then in theory, you will succeed at whatever it is, because those two things are just so simple. When I look at you training me right now, you inspect what you expect with me every time we're out there on the gym floor. Like, there is no, every single time we're talking about breathing, posture, what's tight, what's loose, every little piece of what we're doing, you're watching, and there's not a time to take off. When we're at the 67th minute of a workout and I may be doing like some push-up, you're like, that's, squeeze tight here, lift there, head up, look, every little detail of the way my body's positioned matters.
Yep.
And, for lots of reasons, but that's what I can tell people. Those two things are probably the most important things no matter what you're doing. You inspect what you expect, and you hold this rule. There's only two ways to do anything. It's either learn to do it the right way or we do it again, because the wrong way is never accepted. Those two things will get you a long way.
I love it, man. Very cool. All right, guys. NBS Fitness Radio out.
Thank you for listening to NBS Fitness Radio. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to share it with your friends, follow us on social media, and check out our website at www.nbsfitness.net. Hit the subscribe button and tune in next time for more NBS Fitness Radio.